Hello there. In our last session, we discussed how to assign values to variables. I explained in very simple language that a variable acts like a label or reference to some data. You can perform different operations using these variables, such as adding two values together. If both variables contain numeric values, you can do math operations. You can also combine text values using string variables. We also looked at how a program executes from top to bottom, one line at a time, and how the contents of variables can be updated as the program runs. So to put it simply, a variable is something that can be assigned a value. I asked you to imagine it like a box or a reference. But technically speaking, that's a big simplification. In actual programming terms, a variable in Python points to a memory location where a value is stored. It's usually a pointer to some part of a memory. That said, you don't need to worry about these low-level details just yet. What I want to focus on now is the concept of data types, which we briefly touched upon earlier. We saw that if you try to add a string and a number, Python gives you an error because it doesn't know what that operation is supposed to mean. For instance, what would it even mean to add the number, for example, 99 to the word apple? You need to use the same type of data to combine or perform operations. That's why I showed you how to convert an integer into a string to combine them properly. Now we will dive deeper into data types. Python has four basic data types. Integer for whole numbers like 5, -10 or 1, 2, 3, 4. String for text like hello, hi. Boolean for true or false values, and the float for numbers with decimals like 3.14, which is pi number, as you know. There is a built-in Python function called type, for example, type, that can help us to determine the data type of a given value. You may remember the print function. From before, it prints data to the screen. It was printing data to the screen. Well, the type function lets us check the type of a value by placing it inside parentheses. Let me give you an example. Let me clear. Info type is equal to, for example, type 45. Print info type. This will output what kind of data type is this. Let us check. So now it is class int. This tells us that the value is integer, int. If we change the number to a decimal like, for example, 45.76, then run the same code. So let us run the same code. Now let us change this value, 45.76. Now it will show float. For example, first one is int, this is 45, 45.76 is float. Now let's try using a string. Wrap up the number in quotation marks. For example, you can use double quotes or single quotes. So let me copy this part and paste here, and let me use here double quotes. Now again run. So now it is string. Third one is string. So putting quotes around a value makes it a string, not a number. We can use type type in parentheses with variables, not just direct values. For example, let us here give an example. For example, user age is equal to 30. Print type in parentheses user age. Let me close parentheses. User here is giving error because it's capital A. So let me run app. Now it is integer. Now let us look at Boolean types. Let's say we have Boolean type like is verified is equal to true. Now the true starts with a capital T if you paid attention. If you write true with small t in lowercase, I mean, Python won't recognize it. It will be treated as unknown variable. It will be treated unresolved reference. You can also assign false here, for example, with capital letter F also. For example, let me delete this one. You can use true or you can use false. Okay. Can we check this? Let me info type is equal to type is verified. So let me print this info type. So this should give us Boolean data type. Okay. Okay, it gave us Boolean. You can also pass the actual value into type. For example, what I mean is print type. What is actual value? For example, true. This will give also Boolean value. This Boolean data type comes from this part. Second Boolean data type comes from this part. Okay. So to summarize, the four basic Python data types are integer int for whole numbers, float for decimal numbers, string for text, bool for true or false values. Let's also explore a key Python feature, dynamic typing. For example, here let me give you an example. Status is equal to false. Print type open parenthesis status. What will give this? It should give Boolean. Okay. This hashtag means to comment any writings, you can put hashtag before any writings. The computer will not read this part. Okay. We will talk about this later. For example, if I can write anything here like this, and the computer will not recognize. It's just for human to comment codes. So let me copy and paste here, or also copy and paste here. For example, status is, let me give it some integer. It will be integer. Okay, it will be integer, and here its status is, for example, let me give you a string, and it will be str string. As you can see, the same variable name status is reused to store boolean, then an integer, then a string, and the Python handles this without any issue. This flexibility, let me check here. So boolean, first one is, second one is integer, third one is str. So this flexibility is because Python is a dynamically typed language. It automatically figures out the type based on the value you assign. In contrast, in statistically typed language like Java or C++, you must declare the type up front. For example, int status is equal to 5, and you can't assign a string to that variable afterward. But in Python, you can keep reassigning different types to the same variable, and the Python updates the type dynamically as the program runs. Thank you for your attention. We will see you in the next lecture.